I never thought we'd be discovering new planets anytime soon, but here we are. A new planet has been found just 124 light-years from Earth, which is like it's in our cosmic backyard. It's closer than some of the stars that we have in our night sky. And the most incredible thing about this planet is that it could have liquid water. Yes, this planet might have an ocean. And if that's not exciting enough, it also gets tidally heated in a way that Venus does, which means there could be volcanoes, active volcanoes on this planet. So today we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about what this planet is, where it is, and why scientists think that it may have an ocean and volcanoes. This is a very exciting discovery, one that I hope will be the first of many to come. Okay, so let's get right into it. The scientific paper for this discovery was published in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. It came out earlier this month. It's August 2023. The paper was titled, "A New Earth-Sized Planet, Transiting a Solar-Type Star in the Alpha Centauri System." You can find the paper online if you want to take a look at it yourself. It's not behind a paywall, which is nice. But yeah, they found this planet in the Alpha Centauri system. Now, Alpha Centauri is a 3-star system. It's about 124 light-years away from us. Now, it's actually only 124 light-years away from us, under the assumption that our best estimate for the distance to Proxima Centauri is correct. However, there is a large margin of error for that distance, and it could be anywhere from 4.2 to 25.11 light-years away. But either way, it's super close compared to most other star systems that we know of. It's our next-door neighbor. Alpha Centauri is composed of 3 stars: Alpha Centauri A, Alpha Centauri B, and then there's Proxima Centauri. The A and B stars are very similar to our Sun. They're basically just copies of our Sun, and they orbit each other like our Sun, and the Earth orbits around it. However, Proxima Centauri is much smaller and cooler. In fact, it's the closest red dwarf to us. It's slightly less massive than our Jupiter. And yes, even though it is quite close to us, because it's a red dwarf, it's not visible to the naked eye. Now, Proxima Centauri has 2 known planets. They're both supermassive gas giants, and those were discovered back in 2016. But now they've discovered a 3rd planet in this system. They're calling it Alpha Centauri C, and it is orbiting around the star Alpha Centauri A. And that is important because Alpha Centauri A is very similar to our Sun. So how did they discover this? Well, the team that made this discovery was doing something called the Habitable Exoplanet Observatory for the Alpha Centauri Region Survey, or the HERE survey. That's what they call it. They were looking for exoplanets that could potentially be habitable. And they did this by watching these stars and looking for the transit method. So they were looking for slight dips in the brightness of these stars as a planet passed in front of them. And they were using a device called the Pixel Telescope at the La Silla Observatory in Spain to do that. It's a small telescope that works well for this job. And during their survey, they found a slight dip in the brightness of Alpha Centauri that indicated that a planet had passed in front of it. And they estimate that this planet is roughly the size of Earth. However, unfortunately, because Alpha Centauri A is so bright, the planet is very hard to observe, especially since it's orbiting very close to its star. So they haven't been able to directly image this planet yet. Also, because it's orbiting so close to its star, we don't know exactly what it's made of. We don't know if it's a gas giant or a rocky planet. What they do know is that it takes this planet just 11 days to orbit around its star. That means that it's orbiting very close to Alpha Centauri A in comparison. Mercury, the planet that orbits closest to our Sun, takes 88 days to go around our Sun, and the planet is estimated to be 13 times. It's more massive than our Earth. However, the mass could be larger or smaller depending on how far away from its star it is. If it's farther away, then it could be a rocky planet instead of a gas giant. But because it's orbiting so fast, we know that it must be fairly close to its star. But even if this planet is a rocky planet, that doesn't mean it couldn't have an atmosphere. And that's good because that brings us to the next part of this story, which is that they think this planet could have a liquid water ocean. You see, even though Alpha Centauri A is a very similar star to our Sun, it is slightly different. It's a bit smaller and a bit cooler than our Sun. Because of that, the habitable zone, the area around the star where liquid water could exist on a planet, is a little closer to Alpha Centauri A than it is to our Sun. And because this planet is orbiting inside of that habitable zone, scientists think that it could have liquid water on its surface. However, because the planet is orbiting so close to its star, it is going to experience some pretty extreme conditions. First of all, tidal heating. Star's gravity will be stretching this planet a bit, and that will create friction inside of the planet, and that will generate heat. And that heat could be enough to keep a planet warm enough to have liquid water on the surface, even if it's quite far away from its star. Second, there could be some volcanic activity. The heat from the star combined with the tidal forces could be enough to melt rock and create volcanoes on this planet. And that's really interesting because it's thought that Venus experiences tidal heating, which is why it has active volcanoes, even though it's not in the habitable zone. Now, they're not sure if this planet has an atmosphere or not, but if it does, it's possible that it could trap enough heat to support liquid water. Scientists aren't sure about any of this. These are just possibilities. But based on everything that they know about this planet, these are the scenarios that they're considering. Also, it's worth mentioning that there could be a second planet orbiting this star. They didn't actually see a second dip in the star's brightness that would indicate a second planet, but they can't rule it out. Right now, they're going to continue observing this star to see if they can confirm anything else about this planet. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait until 2027 for another opportunity to observe this planet in front of its star. But after that, we'll learn more about it. This is such an exciting discovery because it shows that there are a lot of planets out there that could potentially support life. And the fact that this planet is so close to us makes it even better because it means that if we can study this planet, we can understand how it works better than any other exoplanet. Plus, it's always cool to have a new planet in our cosmic backyard. What do you guys think? You think there's life on this planet? Maybe some little green aliens waving at us from their telescopes? Let me know in the comments below. That's all I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm working on more videos, so keep an eye out for those. I'll see you guys next time.